All right, guys, we might be in the middle of a huge snowstorm here in Canada, but that's okay because it's about to heat up here on Count It Out because we are going hardcore country. It is our pleasure, our privilege to introduce a guest today who is going to be at Sacrifice on Impact on March 5th. You cannot miss this show. This is going to be massive. We are welcoming Impact Knockouts champion Mickie James to the show today. It's an honor, Mickie. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I haven't been to Canada in so long. I'm sorry. It's equally cold
And,
here. I'm in Louisville at the moment, but I'm in Nashville, and it's just winter everywhere we go. I'm sure it's colder there, but and I hate to. I'm like, oh, it's cold here too, but I hate the cold.
Yeah, the amount of snow we have here right now is crazy.
well,
But
we
Toronto
we
definitely
can't
misses
wait
you.
for not only Impact to come over here. Absolutely, we can't wait for both Impact and you to come here.
Yeah.
You have been one of my one of my bucket list items. No matter how many shows I go to, no matter what the companies, I always miss you. I've never seen Mickie James perform live, and
Oh
it's
no.
been driving me nuts. So
I'm so
hopefully one
sorry.
day
We'll have to change that in
we will change that.
2022.
I can tell you from
Now,
experience, Mike, from Takeover in Toronto, it is fantastic to see Mickie James
Oh,
live. I will humbly brag right now.
thank you so much. That was such a great match. That was a great night. I mean, that was the first time, in like 7 years, the WWE audience had seen me.
Mhm.
It was cool to come back.
Right.
And I thought that was going to be a one night only thing. I thought it was going to be that and then done. And I was totally happy. I was fine with that. And I just wanted to kill it with Asuka and show that, you know, I could still go.
And you definitely did that.
Yeah. And here I am
I,
still.
I'd like I'd like to start off by number one, not to kiss your butt too much here, but you are one of the all-time great performers. And when I say that, I truly mean all-time great performers. There's one thing with the influence and inspiration of our friend Lenny Leonard. Here on the show, we've been phasing out the term women's wrestling. We don't use that term anymore on the show because, like Lenny has said on the show before, it's all wrestling. And I find that thanks to you, Mickie, and to Impact Wrestling, that's becoming more and more of a thing. How proud of you? How proud are you to work for a company like Impact that has been putting women's performances on the same level as the men's, if not higher?
For the longest time. I
Yeah,
mean, since before well ahead of the curve, almost like ahead of their time with it. Where they were seeing the knockouts in this place of main event status of having these cage matches like the one that I had with Tara, or these Falls Count Anywhere matches and hardcore matches. I was the first woman. I mean, this is way back when Impact first started at TNA in the fairgrounds, where I had the first woman to ever do the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match
right.
against Jeff Jarrett, and um, it's crazy. It's really crazy, and it's awesome to see how much wrestling has evolved, and from the fans' perspective since then, because for the longest time it was like the girls' match was considered good as long as it was passable and they got through it and there wasn't any mess ups, and it was like, oh, good job for a girls' match, and I always considered that to be like, I wanted so badly to get past that perspective and to be seen like, no, that was a hell of a match, like hell of a match,
Right.
girls, and I think the first time I truly, like, luckily I had a locker room full of like really supportive guys and brothers that really, through my whole journey, that understood that I really wanted to be seen as one of the boys. Like I wanted to be seen as an equal, that I could go just as hard as them in there and be respected on that same level. And obviously it wasn't always true with everybody. There were people who thought that, oh, all the things like that women still don't deserve to get into the massage line or whatever on a 13 day 13 on the tour or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. However, there genuinely came a level change when I think after the fans had started to see women's wrestling presented in this way, that they wanted it to see that everywhere. Like they wanted to see what the women were capable of everywhere, because they were really only seeing at an impact of the knockouts being given like these crazy opportunities. And it's fun, and it's fun to be like a part of that locker room since day one. But I think about the amount, like all the things the women have done. I mean, Lita and Trish main eventing Raw for me was one of those big defining moments where I go like, oh shit, like this is possible. Sorry. This is possible.
No,
like
it's fine.
They're main eventing the show. Like, and that really had never happened before. And for me, because, and that point of my career, my goal was to become WWE women's champion and to become the best women's champion of all time. And I had these like little goals. It starts with, you know, getting the job, and then it gets, you know, get the debut, and then win the championship, and then be the best. Like it was all these like little things, and then change the business, and then women are equals, like all these things, and they've all come to true. But that was a clear defining moment for me in that beginning step journey to go like, this is possible. Like, so I'm not crazy in thinking that, you know, women can be seen on an equal platform, because they're main eventing the show and they killed it, you know? And I was like, it's changing. Change is going to come. Thanks, Sam Cooke. You know, like it's really, really cool. And then, you know, obviously there's always like this roller coaster and wrestling and entertainment and all these things. But now sitting there and going like, women are the main event. Deanna and I were the first time the Knockouts Knockouts World Championship has ever been on the line in the main event at Hard to Kill. So that was pretty historic. But the Knockouts have been the main event of the show for a long time. But the women were just the main event of WrestleMania. And who would have thought that would have ever happened before? Nobody would have ever thought that. But we're just in a time now. And I think that in every other sport, you're looking at women who are the coaches of football teams. You're looking at women who are headlining MMA cards, and with no second guessing. It's not like, oh, we're having the ladies match be the thing. No, it's the main event because it's the main event. And now to see wrestling step up and get into that same place, it's freaking cool. And I'm just glad to still be a part of it, to see it firsthand and to be in it firsthand. Because, you know, that was always the dream, I think, for all the girls who in every locker room across, you know, for years, was to be in that place.
100%. And Mickie, you've done such great work in contributing to where women are now in the world of professional wrestling. And you see it even on the minor leagues and the independent leagues. You know, here in Toronto, we have such great talent like Alexia Nicole and Jody Threat and Nova. And, you know, they can easily step up and impact and challenge you for that title one day, which we'd love to see. But speaking of people that are challenging for the title, March 5th on the Impact Plus app, Sacrifice, you are going to be facing either Tasha Steele or Chelsea Green for that title. And I kind of just want to talk about the last 12 months that you've had, you know, the ups and the downs that you've gone through. And now you're sitting here as the Impact World Champion. Does this title reign mean something a little bit more special to you after the last year that you've had compared to any of the other ones?
It is pretty special. It is pretty dang special. And I say that because I feel like a lot of people thought that Mickie James was done. And I think that, you know, I really didn't get a chance to show what I could be as a champion in the years prior. I was just more, and I lost. So I felt like it's weird that it would happen, but even in going back to WWE this last time, I almost lost a sense of myself and forgot who I was, and in a sense, and my self-confidence had really started to suffer, you know. And I think that's one of the biggest things, and I'm getting emotional, but one of the biggest things that I'm most grateful for is to have my power back and my confidence back, and that reminder of, Mickie, you're a damn badass, and don't ever let anyone make you think otherwise, you know. Because I never felt that way in the locker room. Any locker room I've been in, the girls have always been respectful. And I think the biggest difference in the locker rooms now than 10 years ago, and especially when I first got into wrestling, is that the women are getting into the business to be wrestlers. They're getting into it because they're fans of wrestling, and they're fans of women like myself, like the Beth Phoenixes, like the Litas and the Trish Stratuses, because that was who was on television when they were coming up, just like Sherry was for me. and Luna Vachon and Alundra Blaze and all these women were for me. We were that inspiring story that those women now who are shining really looked up to. And I was like, well, God, what a great job we all did, because now they're going out there and being able to do so many more things. And it's cool because the competition's a lot thicker because they're all training to be wrestlers, you know, instead of just kind of being thrown in that position because they were a valet or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, it's cool. And it's nice to have my power back. It's nice to have my confidence back. It's nice. I've spent a career proving people wrong, and I'm sure that I will spend the rest of it doing just the same, but I like to be right.
I love that.
You've been around. Oh, sorry, Tyler.
I was just going to say, to follow up on that, Mickie, and then I'll throw it to Mike for the last question here. Tony Khan, he may have coined the term forbidden door, but I don't think that there's any question that Impact Wrestling is the company that built that door. They've been doing work with everybody all over the place since the early days in the fairground with AAA. Is there anybody that's on your bucket list? Whether it's somebody you've never been in the ring with, or somebody you've been in there before that you just want to get in with one more time? Is there anybody that's on your list that you'd like to get in there with?
Oh God, there's a ton of people. I will say yes, Impact. I mean, if he coined Forbidden Door, then I coined glass ceiling, you know? I think that there's a real, something to be said that wrestling as a whole, a lot of the success in going back are these relationships, interpromotional relationships. You talk about like Impact when it first started, or even NWA, like NWA was doing that kind of forbidden door. Like they even did it with Thunder Rosa, you know, in that sense. But they were doing it with Ring of Honor, and even way back territory wise, like that was a lot of times how talent would jump from promotion to promotion, territory to territory, to stay hot and to learn, different audiences and different styles, and between here and Japan and different countries, and from mid-Atlantic to all this. And I know we're not in a territorial state now, but it kind of really is in a sense, because you think about the amount of promotions from New Japan to AAA to AEW to WWE to Impact to NWA to even MLW, or any of those places, to where there's a lot of different places to go. You don't have to, in order to make good money and to be relevant and have a successful career in wrestling, you no longer just have to make it to WWE. There's several places that you can go and shine and have a lucrative career. And I always thought that the balance of like these companies working together was a cool factor, because then it created these possibilities of these one night onlys or these dream matches that you never saw possible before. So it's cool. It's cool when it happens. And I think the fans really enjoy it, because then they start dream match booking in their minds, and that cross promotion stuff. I think everybody wins. Yeah, I really do. And it's the fans who win the most. So
100%. I never in my lifetime did I think I would see within the span of a year, and this is all you and Impact, in the span of a year, we have seen the Knockouts champion on the same show as the ROH Women's Champion, on the same show as the NWA Women's Champion, and now on the same show as the WWE Women's Champion. Never in my lifetime did I think I'd see that, and I think we have definitely you to thank for that, and Impact Wrestling, just like Tyler said, Impact Wrestling is really the catalyst for what's been going on. Tony Khan can take all the credit he wants. Impact Wrestling's been doing this for a long time. And
I think that he can have the credit if he wants it. I do think that he's done some cool things, and he's obviously doing a great job, and they're doing awesome. And it's cool. It's cool because I get to see my friends like Serena Deeb, who's absolutely killing it, and someone who I consider to be one of the best wrestlers in the world. And she's absolutely killing it over there. And to see different people that are getting it. I am a big advocate of, competition. And I think that it makes everyone raise their game, from the talent to the bookers to those levels of competition. Put things on a different level for everyone, because at the end of the day, we all want to be the best. I mean, it is a very there is a bit of ego involved in this business, and we all want to be the best. And like when we see somebody else rising up and doing cool stuff, that means we have to step up our game. And so I love it. I love that. So but at the same time, I do think the wrestling business as a whole, it was built off of promotions working together. Like that was kind of the beauty of it, and the way that, you know, a lot of talent really shined. You know, if you go back to like Hulk Hogan's career, or any of these guys, Ric Flair, they would go from the territories to the territories. Dusty would go, and that was really how they honed and kind of created and cultivated their audience, and really learned how those different areas worked, because fans in Philly are not the same as the fans in Florida. The fans in Florida are not the same as the fans in California or Washington or any of those. Like, they're all unique because it's something that speaks to them, and you have to speak to each audience differently. And so, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, speaking for the fans in Toronto, we want to say that we love you so much. Thank you so much for doing this for us today, Mickie. We really.
I have a very good friend in Toronto.
Oh.
She's doing.
Yes, that's right. You do.
She's doing Canada's Got Talent, or she was doing Canada's Got Talent, and a bunch of other things. I only stalk her on Instagram all the time.
Well, Tyler, why don't you take us home here?
Mickie, we can't wait to watch you defend your title at Sacrifice on March the 5th, live on the Impact Plus app. Get your tickets at impactwrestling.com. We can't thank you enough for bringing a little bit of hardcore country to count it out. And just quickly tell the listeners where we can find Mickie James on social media. I love it.
Do you like my hat?
Oh, it's perfect.
You like my hat. If you go to mickiejames.com, you can find everything that you need, from my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They all have checks, except for YouTube doesn't really have a check. Gaw TV on Wednesdays. You can follow us there. Myself, Lisa Marie, SoCal Val, if you want to have fun with the girls. Yeah, just go to my website, dude. You can find everything.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mickie. We really appreciate it.
Of course. And Gia Miller, follow her because she made this hat for me, courtesy of my dear friend.
We'll push that.
Havoc for my Galentine's gift, but don't tell her because she's a bad girl, you know. But she's very sweet.